Hey guys, welcome back. Today's video will learn about Python loop, how to use loop and how to break or continue through loop. So let's look at a list of names first. So I'm going to call it names equals to, sorry, that's not what I want. So let's do that, copy that. So name nat okay, Nat, Pat, Matt, and Richard. So now we have names, a list called names. So what we want to do is we want to print these names. How do we want to do it? So we're going to use for loop because it's going to take a long time if we start printing names with 0 and 1 like that. That's just not efficient enough, because what if the names are hundreds or millions of names we have to print? So what we're going to do is we use for loop here. So for name in names. So while I write this statement, I'm just going to write print name and explain you something. So this name is a variable we're defining on the fly while we're writing this statement. So this name can be anything. So you can write for whatever in names, print whatever. But what does this mean is when we do for name in names, we are referencing each item of that list. So it's much better if you give a reasonable name for this variable. So because we have a list of names, what we want to do is we want to iterate through names and we want to access each name. So for example, if we want to go through stores, right? So let's write, so we have store in Granville, we have store in Balmain, and we have store in Sydney. So when we do for loop, we want to write for store in stores. So you want to write a meaningful name to this variable, and then we do print store. We got print out of all three different store using for loop. So now there's another way we use for loop, and you will probably use that way quite often than this way. It really depends on your need. So which is using the Python's built-in range function. So what we do is here we already have a list and we iterated through that list. What if we want to print numbers 1 to 100? So we're not going to create a list of 0 to 100 manually and then print 0 to 100. So what we can do is you can use the range function and give it a end where we want the range to stop to, and then it will give us, so for item in range, if we do 10, it will give us print item, it will give us 0 to 9. So as you can see that the stop number is not included, it stops before 10, so we can't reach 10. That means if we want to print 1 to 10, we should give 11 here. Now we have 0 to 10. Sorry, to print from 1 to 11, we need to give the starting position 1, ending position 11, and print, we've got 1 to 11. So start position is included when you iterate, end position is not included. Now the other thing range function can do is step. You can write a step here and write 2. So what this means is how many steps you want to take while going from 1 to 11. Right now we were taking 1 step, so we went 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to take 2 steps, and let's see what the outcome is. As you can see, guys, we will skip 1, we will skip 2, so we went 1 to 3, and then we skip 4, we went 3 to 5, and so on and so forth. So you can use the range function on itself. So you can do 100 equals to range and then 100, and then you can do for item in 100 print item, and it prints 0 to 99. So you can do that as well. So this is all I'm trying to make clear to you, is this is not a function that used in for loop. It's a built-in Python function that is used quite a bit in for loop, which helps us iterate through numbers for the given range. You can also do negative steps. So for example, let's do 10 to 0 with a step of -1. So then you print item. As you can see, we went from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So that's how you use for loop, guys. So now in for loop, there is two other keywords you need to understand, which is continue and break. You will be using these when in a different condition in your for loop. For example, you might be iterating through 1,000 data to look for something. For example, you're iterating through millions of names to look for one particular name, John Smith. So what you don't want to do, let's create name variable again. I want to pull that old name. You can do that in Alt P in Windows. In Linux, simply it's up and down button. So list of names, if I had, yep, and I'm just gonna add here John as well. So what I want to do now is for item, for name in names, and I want to stop if I find the name Matt. So if name equals to Matt, I would like to print Matt. I would like to print F names was found in a list. And so as you can see, guys, what's going to happen here is we will do this for loop. We'll print if name is Matt, but this for loop will still go until John, which, if you think about it, is kind of waste of the power or the performance of this of whatever machine you're running on. And this won't be a problem because it's just two names. But if this is a huge database you're querying, you don't want to be doing that because you have Matt waiting for this result, or whatever you're doing in your program is waiting for this result, and you're going through the entire list of name, which is millions of names. So what you can do here, guys, is you can put a break statement. So that means when the Matt is found, it will print Matt was found in the list, and it will stop right there. It won't print any other name. So to prove that, let's put name here, so it will print each name until Matt. Let's try that. So as you can see, it found Nat, it found Pat, it found Matt, so it printed Matt was found in a list, and then it went to break line, and as you can see, it didn't print Matt again because the breakpoint was before this line of code executed. So you can clearly see we broke the for loop there, and we got out of it, of the for loop, so we just stopped at Matt. Let's look at continue statement. So what continue does is when you write in for loop, it lets you continue to a next item in a loop before you execute certain block of code. So just to make it simple, let's write a variable called count equals to, not count, sum of number equals to 0. And what we want to do is let's iterate through to 10 from 0. And we want to do if I is less than 5, we just want to continue loop. But if it's not less than 5, we want to sum num plus equals I. So what we want to do is we want to iterate to 9, from 0 to 9, and we don't want to do anything if I is less than 5, meaning continue. So it goes to, let's just start here. So it's 0, 0 is less than 5. We want to continue. We do not execute this line. It goes to 2. 2 is less than 5, continue. So until 4 here, this will not sum anything, and sum num will stay 0. And after 4, it will add 5. So it will be 5, and then 6, it will be 11, and so forth and so on. So let's have a look. Now sum num is 35. So let's add 5 plus 6 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9, that is 35. So as you see, guys, the continue helps us to jump to a next item in a loop before we execute any other code within that for loop. So now the other thing you can do with for loop is you can write a nested for loop. So for I in range of 10, and then for j in range of 20, and then you can do print f and write I and j here. So you'll see we'll print quite a lot of lines here, because for each item, for 0 we're iterating from 0 to 19, and then for 1 we're iterating from 0 to 19 again, and so on and so forth here. So that's how you write a nested loop. Why would you want to do that? There are a lot of times when you want to loop inside a main list, and then also you want to loop inside another list while checking the data between those two lists. So that it will be the use of it, which I will show you on the later videos, but that's just about it for now for for loops, and I'll catch up with you on the next video.